If you were a sister missionary who just got her call to Paris, this is the advice I'd give you. Clothing. I would say that get clothing that you want to look good in and you'll feel good in. Because like I said before, you want to look professional. The church isn't very well known in France, and you're representatives of the Lord. You need to look well. You need to look good. And I had bought in some shoes that were advertised everywhere, that were going to last long, had really good foot support, but they weren't the nicest, the cutest shoes. And I didn't wear them because I felt like we needed to look professional. So I just went out to like H&M and got $10 flats, and just what I would definitely recommend is the little arch supports that you can buy for like $10, and just wear whatever you would wear here in the United States that looks nice, and just make sure you have that little arch support in your foot, because a lot of missionaries get like back problems or knee problems or feet problems because they don't have good support. So I definitely recommend that. I would recommend good sturdy boots because it gets really cold in the winter. Boots that will keep you warm and keep you dry too. So I ended up getting a lot of stuff there because I came in the summer, and then I just waited to buy like a coat and boots when I got there. So you can do that, or you can bring one. You want some nice gloves. Lots of good warm scarves too that'll keep you warm. A coat with a hood, so if it starts raining you can put your hood on, or a nice umbrella because you never know. We carried our umbrellas everywhere. And then for winter I would get the leggings, like the wool leggings that are super warm so that you can keep your legs warm. And heavier skirts too for winter. You have to have both. You have to have stuff for really hot weather and really cold weather, because it's like Utah with the weather there. So I just explained like the winter clothing. Summer clothing, just wear what you would wear here. A light skirt, a light shirt. It got really hot when you were contacting, so if you could find something that you don't have to wear like a down east shirt or a mod bod underneath, that'd be awesome. Something that's thick enough that won't show your garments, as it's not transparent. I would buy a Book of Mormon in French, just the blue one. You'll get a triptych or a quad in the MTC. They'll give you scriptures in French, so you don't need to worry about that. But I would get a Book of Mormon in French and start reading it, start pronouncing it. Look online for different pronunciation things. Start reading Preach My Gospel. And really just get ready to have an awesome experience. And I would also say, write down your testimony, write down spiritual experiences that you've had so far in your life, how the Lord has blessed you, because you'll be able to use all those experiences on your mission. And write down your testimony of your Savior, and just be prepared to share those with people.
Clothing for a sister missionary, I would first off suggest shoes. You can buy any shoes as long as they're flat. Just get insoles, because that's one thing. I'd bought some like really sturdy sister missionary shoes, and I think I wore them like twice, maybe 3 times, and they were really uncomfortable, and they're really heavy and just clunky, and people say that they're not going to look at your feet. They will look at your feet. You're in France. They care about what you look like. And so I would say just bring the shoes that you enjoy wearing and get insoles for them, so you're not ruining your feet. And it's also just cheaper. You don't have to buy really nice shoes. You can just buy normal shoes and put the insoles in. During the wintertime, definitely have tights, even like leggings, depending on where you are. At one point I was in Grenoble, which is at the foot of the French Alps, and I was there I think in February, March, and it snowed my first Sunday, like really snowed. And so luckily I had some pantyhose and stuff, but I just come from Nice, so I wasn't as prepared as I should have been. But just to remember to bring, for the wintertime, really thick pantyhose. Make sure to have a pair of boots and hat, gloves, that kind of stuff. For the summertime, I would suggest like white shirts, or just like airy shirts, so you don't get super hot, less thick fabrics like cotton or polyester or something. And yeah, the nicer shirts, don't spend a lot of money on nice shirts or nice skirts. I think you can bring a few for conferences and stuff, but don't have that just as like everything you have, nice things, because sometimes you'll rip a skirt or you'll like stain your shirt, and you don't want to do that to something that you really like, and your shoes will be destroyed by the end of your mission. So that's another, bring good shoes, or bring shoes that you enjoy wearing, but that you're not afraid to have to throw away eventually. And also just wear cute clothes. Don't think that you need to be a standard missionary, because you're in France and people, not that it's like the most important thing, but people really do look at your appearance. And so just make sure that you look presentable. And in France, they also don't wear super bright clothes all the time. If they do, it's just like one article of clothing or like a scarf or something. It's never like, like a bright red blouse with like a yellow skirt and I don't know, some crazy colored shoes. Like, they will look at you weird. And so I would suggest subtle colors, but wearing like nicer things.
For sisters and clothing, it rains in Paris and in France so much. I always thought that Seattle and London were the raining places, but France rains all of the time. In the summer, there might be a couple of weeks where it's really, really deathly hot and you don't want to get out of the shade because it's so hot, but that's more of the exception. I would say it's pretty rainy all the time, especially in the areas I served in. There'd be weeks and weeks where it rained at least one time a day. And so a must is an umbrella, and you'll probably need to buy a few because you might leave them on the bus, or you might see someone that doesn't have an umbrella and you give them yours. And so always be ready to bring on the rain. A coat. I didn't bring a coat on my mission because I got to the mission in May. And so I didn't want to take up the space of my luggage with a big coat. And so I figured, I'll just buy one in France. But that kind of backfired because as a missionary, we don't have time just to go shopping, and you don't want to spend your whole P-Day just looking for a coat, and there might not be the right style or the right price or the right texture, and so it just became more stressful than it needed to be. But thankfully in our mission, there's like the sister missionary closet, and all of the good things are things that you don't want anymore. You just kind of live in old apartments that you move out of. And so when it became winter, I was in a place where a sister had left a coat, and that's what I used all winter. But I would say if you're getting to France not in a coat wearing season, to either have your family mail you a coat so you don't have to take up space in your luggage, and then you have to buy one, and then just be able to leave it in the mission. Okay. So coats are a must. It's colder in our mission because we are in Belgium, Luxembourg, in the north of France. It has colder seasons. But I didn't bring a coat on my mission because I got there in May. And I just figured I'd buy one in France. But it just ended up taking too much time to look for a specific coat that was professional but not too nice, that was warm but I could also wear it when it was not as cold, something that would let the rain not seep in. So getting a coat was a lot more complicated than I thought. And then also they're either really expensive and I didn't want to spend much money, or they were really cheap and I knew I was going to have to end up buying a new one. And so in our mission, a lot of the sisters, we would just leave clothes or shoes or handbags in our old apartments when we left to a new city if we weren't going to use them anymore. And so I lucked out with that. The city I was in when it became winter, a sister had left a coat, so that's what I used all winter. And I just left it in that city when I left. So that was really nice.
So in Belgium, the weather's a little bit rainier. It's kind of at the same latitude as Seattle. So it tends to rain a lot. I remember my first winter, I think I saw the sun like 3 times. It was a little gloomy, but the spring is gorgeous. You're going to get all 4 seasons, most definitely. And you're going to see beautiful trees in bloom. It's going to get pretty warm. It's pretty humid in Belgium. And in France, it's kind of the same thing. A bit less humid, but a bit hotter because it's further south. And in one thing that I'm so glad I brought were a pair of really nice boots. Because I grew up in Florida, so I never wore boots. But I get there and just my legs were so cold and I didn't know what to do, and boots were perfect. Definitely a good sturdy pair of boots that will last. When you serve in cities like Paris and Brussels, you don't walk very often, but when you serve in the other cities like the north of France or Normandy or in smaller cities in Belgium, you're definitely going to be walking a lot. So have a good sturdy pair of shoes. And one thing I never wore before my mission were scarves. And don't buy them here. Wait till you go to Paris and Brussels, because they have tons of scarves, gorgeous patterns, gorgeous colors for super cheap. They have sometimes 3 for 10 euros. And I just remember stocking up before I came home because I love these scarves, and I'll always wear scarves, and they keep you so much warmer. So definitely scarves.
It rains a lot and it can get pretty cold. I was in Luxembourg during the winter, which is kind of, closer to the mountainous regions, kind of farther north. So that got quite a bit of snow. It's not like we were buried in it all the time, but you'll want some good snow boots. We wore at least 2 pairs of tights every day during the winter. And then during the summer, they don't really do air conditioning because it's only a few weeks that it's really hot, and it doesn't get unbearable. So, it's fine, but there's a lot of rain, like what they tell you about raining in Paris. It's true. I'm from Seattle, Washington, so it's kind of basically the same thing. It's about the same kind of climate, so just be prepared for the rain.